I recognize is Ranking Member Raskin from Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Granholm, welcome to the Oversight Committee.
Thank you.
And thank you for your great hard work on behalf of the American people. And let me start with something that I mentioned before, which is we actually have record high production of gas and oil right now. Isn't that right?
Correct.
Will you explain how that's measured and how that's monitored?
Well, we are, the oil and gas industry, we are record exporters of liquefied natural gas. None of that has been stopped. We are the world's largest exporter of liquefied natural gas. We are the world's largest producer of oil, crude oil as well.
Yeah. So you're undertaking this public interest process that the very distinguished gentleman from Louisiana just invoked. You are in the middle of that process. And so you have paused in the LNG export permit process. What effect will that actually have on LNG exports in the near and foreseeable future?
Yeah, thank you for the question, because it has absolutely no impact on any exports that are happening now. We have authorized 48 billion cubic feet of export of liquefied natural gas, 48 billion. That is 3 times what we are currently exporting. We are the largest exporter at 14 billion cubic feet. And in addition to that, we have authorized another 22 that are under construction, 22 billion that are currently under construction. The bottom line is so much has happened in terms of exports of liquefied natural gas since the last assessment was done. We have exploded in our authorizations. So this pause only applies to new ones coming down the pike. Everybody who's exporting now, everybody who's under construction, everybody who is authorized, who doesn't have a final investment decision, all can proceed. We are the biggest exporter. We will continue to be exporting, and it will not affect the jobs. It will not affect what is happening already in terms of exports.
Well, our colleague invites us to imagine that there's some kind of categorical ban on exports of liquefied natural gas and that there's some sort of cutoff taking place. Is there a cutoff?
There is no cutoff. There is no cutoff. We have to do an assessment of what's in the public interest, given the huge amounts that we have authorized.
But that assessment's going forward. It's
The
not
assessment
about
is
any
going
of the
forward.
projects that are currently taking place now, right?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay. So we want to try to restore some sense of proportion and reality to the conversation. I know there's this effort to define your policies bizarrely as a war on energy. Can you just respond to that convoluted rhetorical claim?
Well, I think that the United States right now would be considered energy dominant. We are #1 in oil and gas. We are #1 in exports, and we are aggressively seeking to be larger in our deployment of renewable energy as well, which is what Congress has given us the authority to do. So we are an energy country, and we will remain an energy exporting country, even as we continue to deploy renewable energy for use at home.
Okay, the ex-president just went before a whole bunch of oil and gas executives and essentially demanded that they give his campaign $1 billion because he was going to release a rash of regulations reversing climate progress and reversing the policies of your administration. He promised to auction off more leases for oil drilling in the Gulf of Mexico and has been repeatedly chanting at rallies, "Drill, baby, drill." What would happen to our climate goals if we actually undertook to reverse all of the progress made under the Biden-Harris administration?
Well, obviously, we want to get to net zero by 2050 as a nation, but also in conjunction with all other nations on the planet who are seeking to address climate change for the reasons that you stated in your opening statement in terms of the number of extreme weather events, which cost us so much more than addressing climate change costs us.
Yeah.
In the end, We have a responsibility to our citizens.
As Secretary of Energy, do you think climate denialism is dangerous to the future of our country?
Of course it is. It's dangerous to us as humans. It's dangerous to our economy as well. The opportunity in clean energy is enormous across the country. So,
And I remember there was a time when the Secretary of Energy would appear to be at odds with the Secretary of the EPA and the people working on environment. But tell us about the inside of the administration. You have these record levels of gas and oil production and other renewable energies moving forward. But do you see your job as opposed to the job of the people who are working to preserve our climate?
not at all. We work in conjunction with the Department of Interior, the EPA. We work together, and we want to make sure that we're producing energy enough to keep the lights on and to keep people moving, but we do it in the cleanest way possible, and we can do both.
Well, thank you for your hard work. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes Mr. Sessions from Texas.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Secretary, welcome. We're delighted that you're here. We've had a series of days